Hello, this is Hannah. I'll be talking about Zamboline and the oppression of Egypt. So the people of Zamboline, there is about 50 to 80,000 people in Zamboline. As you can see in the picture, Zamboline has a bunch of trash. This is because the surrounding cities do not have a way to take care of the trash, therefore they dump it in Zamboline. However, Zamboline has created a lot of job opportunities through the collecting and taking care of this waste. Around 80% of the waste is taken care of through private corporations in Zamboline. However, 20% of it remains in the streets for random collection. You say 20% isn't very much, but if you think about Egypt as a whole, it generates around 20.5 million tons of waste per year. 20% of that is quite a lot. Landfills are often exposed and open burning is common to deal with waste. So you can just tell by this picture and about the facts that I just told you that this is not a very safe place to live. We will explain more in the following slide. So the economic status of Zamboline. It's a very low income. Families spend around 60 to 75, families intake around 60 to $75 per month. So think about the last time you spent 60 to $75. What did you spend that on? Think about the fact that families, multiple people, are living off of 60 to $75 per month. That is for shelter, food, and water. People can't afford to relocate due to the low income. There's also a large amount of illiteracy in this area. People cannot, or schooling systems are not as readily available as they are for you and me. Health issues happen a lot in this area. As you can tell, there's just trash all over the place. Also, the water is filled with bacteria because it is not properly filtered. This can cause health issues. One statistic that I thought was very daunting was that in 1981, the infant mortality rate was estimated to be about 240 deaths per 1,000 births. I think this is way too high, and this is a very big problem for Zamboline people. So why such poverty? So economic disparity has been happening in Zambia and in Egypt since the 1970s, since there has been an open door economic liberalism. The main goal for liberalism is to utilize international organizations, institutions, and norms so that states can benefit on economic exchange. In Egypt, 26.3% of the country's population is living beneath the poverty line. More than 40% of the average household expenditure in Egypt goes to food. Today in Cairo, slums have grown to accommodate 3 to 5 million inhabitants. In 2002, the government modernized the waste disposal system. This created a lot of lost opportunities for the people in Zambia because of the multinationals. Think Walmart, think Kroger, think any institution that has a large base in many different countries. So the people that had private owned businesses were unable to pay their workers salaries. In 2009, government slaughtered every single pig that was raised in Zamboline because of sanitation and health risks. While I understand the risks involved for selling these pigs, you can infer the very big negative effect this decision had on Zambia, and it was not a step towards moving out of poverty. So therefore, because of all of the poverty and um, unemployment and corruption that was happening in Egypt, people of Egypt decided to overthrow the Egyptian president. After 18 days of protest, on February 11th, the president resigned. This is just one reason why this is just one outcome that happens when people are in poverty for a elongated amount of time. Stress arises, people are fed up with not um, being treated correctly or being given opportunities, and revolutions happen like the one in 2011. So what is the problem? Why cannot Zambia take larger steps out of poverty? One reason is balance sheet pressures are sapping growth. There's too much systematic debt. There's weak growth and balance in governments, in financial institutions, and in households. This creates a vicious cycle of gaining momentum and then being halted very quickly by policy indecision and political dysfunction. A second problem or reason of the problem is instability in the core of the global economic system. The world is interconnected. So if one area of the world is having large problems like lingering debt or financial stability risks, all of the other parts of the country are going to be affected. A third reason for the problem is social tension. With the large amount of unemployed people, especially in the younger generation, the lack of social protection, the perception of unfairness, it has all been part of the problem, and the reason why momentum cannot be gained. So, what is the solution to bringing Zambia and other areas that are stricken with high amounts of poverty to take steps towards better well-being? Well, the solution is the 4 Rs: repair, reform, rebalance, and rebuild. So to start with repair, people need to have credible plans that stabilize and lower public debt. But they need to do this at a good pace because consolidating too quickly can hurt the recovery and worsen job prospects. How do you do this? You have a credible source that measures and delivers stabilizes savings for a slower pace of consolidation. You also create jobs and kickstart growth. You create entitlement reforms, which are essential for establishing long-term debt sustainability. You address firmly financing problems through credible consolidations. For reform, you have an international cooperation across all dimensions to avoid regulatory. You develop and fine-tune macro tools that guard against financial risks. You have employment that sustains and supports human dignity. If people are deprived of meaningful work, men and women lose their reason for existence. Rebalance. You shift back the demand from public to private sectors. Allow those small businesses to grow and to provide for the people around them. Global demand must switch from external deficit to external surplus. With lower spending and higher savings, this can advance economies. Rebalancings can be held back in some countries by politics that keep domestic demand growth too slow. Lack of sufficient rebalancing hurts everybody. And you can also rebuild. Low-income countries need to rebuild economic policy buffers, including the ones that served well during a crisis to protect themselves from future storms. And they also need to provide a space for growth, enhancing public investment of social safety nets, allowing countries to deploy well-targeted subsidies to protect the poor from commodity price swings with minimal damage to sustainability. Here are my resources. Thank you for watching.